Good morning, and thank you so much for tuning into this Refuel Devotional. My name is Jason Kane, and I'm so glad that you joined us here this morning to hear what God has to say to you. As you know, we're in the middle of a series called Wonder at Bayside, where we're talking about the wonder of Christmas. As we've looked at the Christmas story in Luke chapter 1, there is reason for us to be full of wonder, to see God's movement, and to be awestruck at what we find. The lesson that we'll look at today is one that you may have overlooked in the past, but I hope you're able to take this lesson and apply it to your life today. In Luke chapter 1, as we're given the account of the angel Gabriel as he goes and he speaks to Mary, we find that he goes to a place called Nazareth in order to deliver her this message. Now, you and I are very familiar with Nazareth. We hear about it every single Christmas season, but Nazareth is such a remote place, an insignificant place, that most historians during that time never even bring up Nazareth. Why? Because it wasn't significant. I mean, this wasn't Modesto. This was a town outside Modesto. Nobody would have thought that Nazareth would be a part of the Christmas story. Nazareth being mentioned teaches us this lesson about Christmas, that God shows up in unexpected places. No one would have picked Nazareth as the place for the birth of Jesus to be announced to Mary. No one would have chosen Nazareth on a map and say, hey, this is where God would show up in all of his grandeur to deliver his son. No one would have thought that Nazareth had any significance, but God shows up in unexpected places. This morning, I want you to know that no matter where you find yourself in life, God can show up there. Whether you're at the highest of highs or the lowest of lows, there is no place that God does not show up. The Christmas story should cause us to have awe and wonder because God shows up in unexpected places. But it also teaches us something else, that God shows up in unexpected ways, that he shows up to a virgin by the name of Mary in order for her to birth Jesus into the world. No one would have thought that the King of Heaven would come down, place himself in the womb of a virgin by the name of Mary, a girl who's insignificant at the time, in order to save the world. God shows up in unexpected ways. Man, one of the wonderful things about following Jesus is that we get to see him show up in our lives in ways we would have never expected. Several weeks ago, I got to share on one of these Refuel devotionals or somewhere else online about some anxiety that I typically have around preaching. I've been preaching for almost 20 years now, and there are so many times that the night before I have to preach, I don't sleep at all. As a matter of fact, some mornings I show up and I am physically ill because I have anxiety around preaching. After that video aired, to my surprise, many people in the comments told me that they were praying for me. I had given up praying for myself in this regard because I thought, hey, I'll just have anxiety for the rest of my life around preaching, and it's just something that I'll deal with. But since we posted that video, every time that I've gotten up to preach, the night before, I've had zero anxiety at all. I had given up any hope that I would be able to preach without anxiety in my life, but God showed up for me in an unexpected place, in an unexpected way that I had no idea would happen. When I think about the Christmas narrative, it is a promise to us that God will show up in unexpected places and in unexpected ways. And in my life, God has shown up and given me peace and calm in a place that I thought would be full of rough waters for the rest of my life. May the Christmas narrative be for you a reminder that God can show up in unexpected places in unexpected ways. One caveat, that doesn't mean that we always get what we want, but it does mean that God is present with us no matter where we find ourselves in life. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be blessed.